it's like my plants are on steroids out there with all the boost that I gave them this spring. Like, holy cow, those flowers are gorgeous. Here's everybody. Yay. All right, let me get. All right, here we are. Hey, everybody. All right, so hopefully we don't have, got my nice oily skin today. That would be from our sunscreen, because it is hot out there. Okay, welcome. Caroline Best here of the Tao of Horsemanship, and I'm here with my lovely co-host Sabrina.
Hey guys.
Arbogast. And we are here to do our live podcast / week or webinar, weekly webinar. And we've got a great topic for all of you today. How's everybody? Don't think we have anybody on just yet. So as you guys are coming to join us, go ahead and give us a shout out or a wave. Yep, we got to fix these things right here. It's like a comedy. Oh my gosh, we got to tighten these up. Put that on your checklist.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we have to tighten up those little stands we've got. Alrighty. So today, Sabrina and I, oh my gosh, you'd think I was in a windstorm. Look at this hair. We're going to talk about, and we just did a video. So actually, hi, Angie. It's great to see you, love. All the way from Chincoteague Island, Angie. Oh, my gosh. So today we're going to specifically talk about a video that's going to be released. The snippet of the video will be released on my YouTube channel Friday, and then the full version is in my video library, Everything Horses and More. And so this video that we are going to talk about today is of actually Sabrina, my videographer, my camera lady. We had one of our friends film me doing a session with she and her horse, Dash. I was thinking about all her bloodlines.
Gotcha.
And
yeah.
That's why I'm like, I got stuck with Cash. And so the topic of the video that's going to be released on Friday, and today's topic specifically is going to be about assessing the lazy or the shutdown horse. Is your horse lazy or is your horse really shut down? And more specifically, talk about the qualities, the traits, the characteristics of a lazy horse, because a lazy horse gets a bad rap.
Yes, they do.
They do.
Very much so.
They get a bad rap. And often the lazy horse is, what's the word, related to a dominant horse. You know, so many times we reference a lazy horse as a dominant horse, and it's not always the case. So I really wanted to spend some time talking about the different characteristics and qualities and traits of the lazy horse, the shut down horse, and then what does it mean when we add a dominant lazy horse. So I'll start the conversation. I get these questions all the time from my students. How do you handle a lazy horse, Caroline? How do you handle a dominant horse? And the first thing I tell them or I ask them is, it's hard for me to answer that only because I'm not there looking at your horse and assessing your horse, because often your perception or what you've been taught how to assess the horse is wrong. There's so, you know me, I'm always out there busting on so many other trainers, and to me the propaganda, the bullshit that they are selling and misdirecting you, misinterpreting. And so I guess that's a good word for this. It comes down to interpretation, perception, you know, you viewing your horse acting lazy or dominant when your horse isn't. Just take, for example, many of my YouTube videos where I'm talking in the camera and I'm standing and I've got one or several of my horses behind me or around me. And if they're all together, they usually fight over me. And if I have one or two, sometimes I'll get, especially with Smokey when he was alive many years ago when he was in so many of my videos, he would push me because he wanted the attention. And it comes down to how your horse pushes you, or how your horse stands in your space, or how your horse comes into your space. How do they show up? And so the question would be from so many of my students, even comments on YouTube, how can you let your horse in your space? How come you let your horse rub on you or touch you or push you like that? And it comes back to, it's how. And so sometimes when Smokey would push me because he was the one that was the most expressive physically, he would also nicker and talk to me a lot, but he was also very physically expressive and beautiful with his communication. And that was mostly because of his personality. You know, horses, like people, are individuals and they express themselves differently, similarly, but differently. And for Smokey, he was very expressive. And my number one partner for all those years in my videos, in my clinics and everything. So it depended how he pushed me. If he pushed me way too hard one time, that was usually 99% of the time because he needed to push me that hard to get me to pay attention to him. And I understood that. But if there's that 1% where I could feel it. It felt different when he pushed me, and it was more of him just being irritated or agitated or even anxious. He used to be one of my most severe buddy sour horses. And so when I would take him, when I was a clinician up north, and I would take him to the expos to present with me, and I would bring either he in Legend or he in Sundance, Smokey could also push out of anxiety or stress or frustration. And the easiest way to tell is always in the eye. You know, if the eye is soft, and that's one of the things that I talk about in the video with Sabrina and Dash. You know, is the eye soft or is the eye hard? It really is that black and white. And when Smokey would push me because he wanted to tell me something, express something, show me something, or be a part of something, the eye was soft. When he was anxious, mostly it was anxious, you know, his push would be hard in the eye too. And so again, getting back to how do you diagnose or assess a lazy horse or a dominant horse? So often, and that's why we did this video, Sabrina needed my help. She needed me to come over and put my eyes on her horse for the first time and give her a more objective and accurate, professionally accurate assessment of what was going on. And because she was asking herself, is my horse really lazy, Caroline, or is my horse shut down? And so, Sabrina, tell us a little bit about Dash's former life before you, and what you were telling me in the office earlier this morning, too, what you saw before she became your horse and why you wanted her. So give us a little background. You're into barrel racing.
Yes.
You and your daughter.
Yep, I've been into barrel racing since I was 17 years. I've been into barrel racing since I was 17 years old.
Yep.
And so when I met Dash, she was 4 years old, and she's 9 now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met her, she was a little bit of a basket case, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
what does that mean? So how old was she again?
She was 4.
4, and what's a basket case look like to you?
Basket case to me, it would look like she couldn't concentrate.
She couldn't focus. And you met her at the barrel races.
Yes.
So you were at the barrel races, and here, let's sit together a little bit more. Sorry, guys, we haven't had time to look into all the technology yet to get us both together and do this a little differently.
So, okay.
You're at the barrel races. Someone else owns her this time. She's gorgeous. She comes from really good bloodlines, quarter horse bloodlines.
Yes, she does. And she was all over the place. She couldn't, like I said, concentrate.
But most barrel horses are.
Right.
I mean, most barrel horses are so worked up and they're and you know, I've seen plenty of video.
But she couldn't handle her. And a lot of girls can at least, they're excited, the horses, and not.
But they can kind of contain it a little bit until they get out there and run their pattern.
Thank you, yes.
And so for Dash, when you said she couldn't handle her, was she spinning around?
She was spinning, she was prancing, she was screaming for her friends.
She's totally stressed out.
completely stressed out.
So that there is a big difference there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you can, it's not good no matter what, whether you're barrel racing, or I remember seeing horses like that in my team penning.
Yeah.
I love working cattle, used to go to clinics and participate with Smokey and Sundance, and I used to teach clinics. But the team penning, or even, you know, waiting, I've never roped a cow, but you'll see on, you know, videos, or unless you've been there, you'll see the horses getting a little too worked up, and they can't wait to get out there. And you've got to be able, again, this comes back to really educating your eye and your experience to understand, is a horse just so focused that they can't wait to do that job, so to speak, or are they really anxious, and how does it show up differently? Dash was really anxious.
Yes.
Screaming is anxiety. The prancing, another word for that is jigging.
Yes.
Piafing, prancing, jigging, that's all stress. Legend used to do that on the trails, and screaming bloody murder, and then spinning around. So that's stress.
Right. Exactly.
So she couldn't handle it.
Not at that time. She was young. She was
plus she was getting hit in the
really.
face too.
Yep.
She was getting hit in the face.
And
because she was all over the place.
And the girl was 20 something at that time. So I mean,
so she could cut.
She was a trainer.
Yeah, trainer. Here we go. These 20 somethings should not be trainers. You're too young. You don't have enough experience. So even 30. I'm sorry. Don't get me started on that. I think the great masters would agree. At least that's what I've read and heard. So getting back to her bloodlines. So, you know, being a quarter horse, and who did she come from?
Dash for Cash.
Yeah, Cash. That's why I called her Cash.
Yes.
Dash for Cash. And I'm familiar with those bloodlines. So that enables her to really have a powerful hind end and really be able to cut corners. And so I'm sure she could ride that pattern really well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dash is,
execute it really well.
Yeah, she did very well. And she wants to learn. So she took that as, she wants to do barrel racing, because she was so willing to do what she asked of her. But she got sent to a trainer at 3 years old.
So back up a little bit. So when you're watching Dash perform before you bought her, how was her score? I mean, was she doing well?
She was, to me, it was like a 3-year-old. She wasn't doing well, but it was so weird, because I fell in love with Dash when I first met her.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for her. I fell in love with her, and she tried her darnest to do what the girl asked of her to do, but that didn't mean she enjoyed it, nor did she do it very well. She wouldn't go. But at that time, she was a 3-year-old, so I didn't see it as, you know, anything but she's a 3-year-old and she doesn't like to run.
And she's inexperienced in time. It'll improve over time.
Exactly.
Okay. Because remember, this is all about talking about how to assess the horse to see if the horse is really what you need with what you want to do.
Right. So
and so often we do find a connection with the horse. We fall in love with the horse. Perhaps there's a chemistry, of course. We find a chemistry with the horse. And then we come to realize that this horse really doesn't like what we want them to do, or they're not very good at it.
Yes.
So you buy Dash.
I bought Dash
as a 4-year-old.
As a 4-year-old, and she was not very pretty at that time. She was nutritious. Where she lost a lot of weight. I can't think of the word.
Malnourished. She was gotcha.
I can't think of the word.
I love it. Malnourished.
Yeah.
And okay.
So
well, that's probably ulcers. She's probably really stressed out. Horses get ulcers so quickly and easily, you guys. It's really, really sad.
And I tried to just kind of play around with her a little bit, and then I just noticed that she didn't want to do it. Like, she wanted to do it because I asked her. It's like you always say, it's the motor. It kind of just goes.
It's mechanical. So she understood, like when I assessed her the other week in your round pen, and she just immediately mechanically assumed that I was going to ask her.
And that's what she did.
Yeah, but there was no excitement or expression. You know, she wasn't, she was just flatlined.
Yep, she was just that. And then she would scream for her friends. And I knew she was going to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
I knew she was going to do that. But it escalated really bad the more I went out. Because, you know, everybody was like, oh, just take her out. She'll get used to it. She'll get used to it. And I did. I took her out and I tried to get her more used to it. She was a 3-year-old. I didn't, you know.
Sorry, guys.
I didn't. She was a 3-year-old. To me, that was kind of normal. She was be nervous and stuff like that.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about that right there, because that isn't normal. So
I know
listen,
that now.
you know it now, but everybody talks about that. You think, oh, well, they're just young, and they'll get over. Listen, anytime your horse is showing signs of anxiety, like we just discussed, screaming for their friends is a definite sign, being buddy sour. Jigging, prancing, spinning around. So a busy feet, busy mouth, and a busy feet, I say this in so many of my videos, is a busy mind.
Right.
And it's going to keep escalating. And so many times we're told to either run the energy out of them, or we manhandle them with bigger bits, or we're constantly in their mouth, or you know, we're hitting them to get them out of our space, like the father was hitting her in the face because she was spinning around. And I guess the biggest point I want to make is right there, and I know you know it now, and I'm saying this for everybody else out there, because I know there may not be a lot of people obviously on, you know, our live webinar right now, but our downloads with these podcasts keep getting bigger, and this live webinar will become a recording and it will populate. It will continue to gather hundreds and hundreds of views. So this is for all of you out there. Don't ruin your horses. I don't care what age they are. The minute they start showing anxiety, they're telling you it doesn't feel right. And it's not about spending more time doing that thing. It's not about that. It's not about giving them more exposure at that level. What it means is they're telling you very clearly that they are over-faced. That means they're overwhelmed and they're overstimulated. And when a horse is in that frame of mind, they're totally in their prey, totally in their right side of their brain. They're not thinking, which is the left side. They're totally in the prey self-preservation. And the self-preservation modes are what? Fight, flight, or freeze. Your mare is a very timid, introverted, shy personality. And horses like that are more passive or submissive in personality. They're not dominant at all. Dominance is a sign of high self-esteem, confidence, and courage for a horse.
Yeah, she never.
So when you think about it like that, she's just imploding. She's imploding, and she's screaming. She's trying to fight. She's going into flight mode.
It wasn't fun.
No. So for all of you that are trying your horse at something new, it doesn't matter what it is. Trail riding, taking them away from the barn. I don't care if it's barrel racing. You're schooling for a hunter jumper. You know, they need whatever you are exposing them to that's new, and this is just training 101, whatever you want your horse to learn, it's got to be done slowly, and it has to be done with an awareness on your part to pay attention to how your horse is feeling about the learning or the experience. And if you go slow and you take the time to pay attention, which you do, you inherited a horse that was like this. And so you're like, okay, maybe if I take her out now that she's mine and I hand walk her and I spend time with her, but she was already blown. Her experience with the barrel racing and the stimuli and all the crazy energy, it was too much of a trigger at that point.
So I pretty much stopped.
So you stopped with her.
Yeah. I stopped. And
she's 9 now, right?
Yeah,
this is 5 years ago.
So I would say from the time she's 5 years old to now, I haven't done much with her. Trail riding. Just kind of let her be a horse.
And even trail riding, you told me she's got a spook to her. She's not real confident.
No, she's not at all. Dash has never been confident. Now, when another horse that she's friends with is around her, she's okay.
Of course, that's most horses. So your more timid, passive, submissive horse is always going to buddy up and follow, very, very easily follow another horse. And what we all want to get to, aspire to, is getting our horses to follow us. You know, whatever leadership we're in, whether it's groundwork and hand walking, or sending our horse through some obstacles, or we're riding them. We want to get to that level that they trust us and feel confident enough with us. You know, so much of this conversation, you know, again, we're talking about assessing horses, gets down to the deep and dirty, as I say, aspects or parts or areas of learning horses and learning the nature of a horse and the true nature, and being able to identify who is Dash compared to how she's showing up. Is she showing up because it's a learned behavior or a trigger? And so often, like when you first bought her, you had no idea what she was like. So you're seeing her and you're going, oh my gosh, you know, I know something's wrong here. The way she's behaving, you're intuitive. You listen to how you feel. You knew she was stressed out.
Yes. And
where I'm going with all of this is, again, if people just take the time to pay attention and
so true.
And try to understand that environment, particularly the barrel racing shows, was triggering your horse.
Oh yeah.
Because when you brought her home in a quiet environment that didn't overface her or overwhelm her or overstimulate her.
Till there was a storm.
Yes. And then that would get her going?
Yes, because then I would try to put her from the pasture into the barn. She almost kicked my head.
Oh,
she would spin and just bucked up. And
yeah, but were you also taking her away from her pasture mates?
No, Foxy was already in the stall.
Foxy was already in the stall. Wow.
Yeah, because I felt kind of safer with her, so I took her first.
Oh, yeah.
And then I come back. But I reckon she was already excited because I took Foxy away from her.
Yeah.
And she wanted to get to the barn. And then And
that's a hard call because, how many of us can safely lead two horses, that aren't going to be flipping out on top of us because of a lightning storm or whatever else has got him going. Yeah, and I get that. You got to lead him in one at a time.
But I mean, she has changed so much now. She really has. She's.
So yes. So specifically, she has changed. But why did you want me to come out and assess her? And we did the video on this just for the audience. I mean, she has changed, but there's this point where you don't know where to go now.
Right.
You don't know. There's so much more you want to do with her now, not barrel racing per se, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to have fun at a barrel racing show just for the fun of it and not have her flip out or worry that it's going to be the same experience as it was years ago with different people?
Yes, absolutely.
And so you needed me, plus you noticed that she's still a little bit timid. That's my word. You weren't sure what she was. And you weren't sure. My word is timid because a lot of lazy horses are really timid horses, you guys. They're really shy. It's like, have you ever met a person who you could be in a party or you come into a room with a bunch of people. Maybe it's your work environment and everyone's new, or this is all new. So I'm going to say it's a party. You don't know anyone really, or a classroom, or a workplace, and you come in and you're trying to get a gauge on everyone, like you're taking everything in, and who do you like? These are your first impressions, right? Who do you like? Who do you might want to talk to? And you see a person over there that's standoffish. They're kind of by themselves, or even if they're with other people, they're just kind of snotty looking, smug looking. That's like usually the first impression we get.
Right.
I've met many people who give you that first impression, and they are all very shy.
Yeah, like
they're
my daughter.
just very shy, and they're shy and a little insecure, and with that combination, they try to act like nothing bothers them when really they're in this crowded room and they're so out of their comfort zone.
That's
so,
Peyton.
But it's also horses.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what's so crazy about, the way we understand horses here, the Tao of Horsemanship and the way I teach is the horses are so similar to people.
Oh, yeah. So true.
you get this shy horse, and so many people already label it lazy, when really it's just reluctant and uncomfortable. It's not comfortable. So and it doesn't have a lot of confidence. And that's why I was bringing up people, because it's so much easier for us to relate. Oh my gosh, how many people do we know or have we met that we labeled them snotty, standoffish, what's the other word? There's so many words for it. When you get to know them, you want some water?
It went down the wrong tube.
Oh, I hate when that happens. Yeah, go ahead. Go take care of yourself. And, anyway, so just getting back to, I don't mean to keep, Sabrina has swallowed the wrong way, so it went down the wrong tube. So she's stepping out right now and coughing and getting a drink of water. So I think, without rambling on and on and on, you guys get my point. And the question that I get a lot of questions about dominant lazy horses more than spooky horses. But it also comes down to learning how to correctly, properly read a horse and assess a horse and understand its nature. And I know for a fact, as a professional in this field and working with thousands of horses and seeing what's propagated, if that's the right word, the propaganda out there by other professionals, they're constantly teaching you how to train or work with behavior. Let me tell you something, and you guys can look up the definition of behavior. Behavior is, by definition, predominantly learned behavior. Now, we are born, specifically horses are born, with instinctual behaviors, and that just means that the moment they're born and they touch the ground, within an hour to 3 hours, instinctively, they know how to suckle, they get up, they can run with their mother. There's just some instincts in them that kick in immediately. Unlike human babies, we are completely vulnerable.
Wow.
But a lot of mammals, a lot of species, not the human, or the monkey, they're closely related to us, obviously, we are the most vulnerable. So we need 100% of parental supervision.
See, Dash was born, she had her mom sent to her from Nebraska pregnant with Dash. And when her mom gave birth, of course she had, from day one she had Dash.
She imprinted her.
She imprinted. So what in the world is she doing?
I know. But anyway, that's a whole other question. But just getting back to distinguishing between what's learned behavior in our horses and who they really are. And as I always say in my videos, 99% of your horses are screwed up on some level or many levels. They are so sensitive by nature and quick learners and intelligence, and they're constantly being overfaced. That's the biggest challenge. From the get-go, when they're first born and they come into the our world, we're the ones that influence them. Our environment does. So they're just, it's crazy.
Sad.
Yeah, because when you compare domesticated horses to wild horses, it's night and day between how they act. It's crazy. You're like, is this really a horse? They're so calm, and they're so reserved, and you don't have any of those anxieties or displaced behaviors that we see in our domesticated horses. So I don't know, do we have any questions from anybody? We're always open. This is live. Do you see anything on Facebook?
Not any questions. No, ma'am.
I don't either. So we're always open, you guys, to questions. Yeah, Sabrina's in on my computer because she's got to control the audio of the podcast on her laptop.
Sound like in and out.
Yeah, hi, Sarah. And here's Cammie. I had a Dash for Cash, lived 34 years, my best buddy. Aw, you're welcome. Hi, Jennifer. Hello from Arkansas. I love it.
Oh,
Okay, so Cammie wants to hear more about the eyes. So in my work, you guys, and again on my YouTube videos or any of my courses that you sign up for, I'm always telling you the number one area that I focus on when I'm getting to know a horse, listening to the horse, watching the horse is the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul. And so just like a person, a horse's eyes are just as expressive. And this goes back to my constant rambling, but constant research. I'm always out there researching to see what is new to help support my personal experiences with horses as a trainer and as a student and as a partner. And where I'm headed with that is in my world, the way I see it and the way I experience it and the way I teach it with horses. Your horses share the same emotions we do. I've seen my horses cry. I've seen my horses get jealous, possessive, pissed off, anxious, nervous, frustrated, sad, happy, smile, joyful. I've seen it all. The hardest thing for us is we don't pay attention. We don't focus on their eyes. No one's teaching that. And a lot of people will ask me, well, Caroline, we're taught even in natural horsemanship. And I'm not natural horsemanship, so don't even put me there. It's intuitive. In natural horsemanship, don't look your horse because you're a predator. You know, the human's a predator and the horse is prey. Don't look them in the eye. And I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and I've heard it. Stupidest thing. How the hell are you going to know what your horse is doing if you're not paying attention to them? Why would you be looking down at the ground the whole time? The horse is intelligent. Number one, emotionally intelligent, but cognitively pretty intelligent, even though they do not possess the third layer of their brain like we do for really advanced cognitive abilities. They are still, their second layer, their first and second layer are very well developed. And this is all research out there. So getting back to their intelligence, I teach in my work, and I'm not the only riding instructor that teaches this way. And I have only been taught this way by some of the great masters, whether I've read it or I've personally been taught by them. They will tell you, always look where you are going when you are riding. How many of you heard that? Look where you're going, don't look down. If you look down, that's where you're going to end up. But really, when you look down, that's where your focus is, and it usually stops your horse. So I'll relate this to Jack Brainerd, one of the great masters that's still alive in his 90s, who I learned with many, many years ago. And Jack is, big time reining, now cowboy dressage, and he's always look 20, 30 feet where you want to go. Show that horse when you're riding where you want to go. I call it follow your focus. So I say to my students, whether you're doing lunging, free lunging, or online lunging with your horse, or an agility course, or you're riding, follow your focus. Show your horse where you want to go. And immediately, when the horse is an open, confident learner, they're going to follow that. They're going to be like, what are you looking at? So it's a power of the strength of your intention. Plus, if the horse is connected to you, they're going to look where you look. So we're getting back to the eyes again. And when you slow down, the person slows down to pay attention and open your mind to the possibility that, yes, your horse has feelings, and your horse, if they aren't shut down, they are going to understand that you're listening and you care, and they are going to start to reveal themselves more and more to you, especially the more shy horses. The more shy horses. But you've got to have that conversation with them, literally, whether it's verbal or mindfully or in your heart. You've got to say, look, I'm here for you. I love you. I care. I want to get to know you. I want to do right by you. And tell me who you are. Mm-hmm. Show me how you really care about, how you feel about everything. And so, if you understand the human eye and just watching me right now and all my different expressions as I'm speaking, my eyes, I'm a very extroverted, gregarious person. I'm not introverted. And I'm also a teacher, but when I speak, I'm very animated, and my eyes are attached to my heart. My eyes are attached, like yours, to how you feel. But, like I just mentioned about horses, so many of us are shut down, disengaged. We're not connected to ourselves, and we're not connected to what's around us for many reasons. And so we're not that expressive.
Right.
We're not. Whether we haven't learned to be that way, or it was never allowed, misdirected. My stomach's growling, I apologize. So for me as a rehab specialist working with over 2,000 horses, I mean, my gosh, every horse has a personality, and every horse by nature instinctively has levels of expression. So I don't want to label a horse too much by saying they're totally shy and timid, because by nature, instinctively, horses are gregarious. Horses are social creatures. You know, people are not as social. Horses belong together, okay? They instinctively belong together. They do not belong in isolation.
No, they don't.
So when you just look at the facts, that tells you enough that every horse, you know, has the ability to express themselves.
Right.
So when you just come from that baseline of information and you're getting to know your horse, and your horse is not expressing themselves, something is wrong. And people by nature, we're very emotional creatures too. Not all of us are as gregarious, but by nature, when you look back as cave dwellers or cavemen, so to speak, you know, before we really had verbal language, our language was in grunts and body language, and then we created art before we created a language. We had other forms of communicating, is what I'm saying. And we were still social creatures. We traveled in groups. We did not like isolation. So we're very similar to the horse. Yeah. And so what happens to us over time that shuts us down and makes it less and less, or makes it harder and harder for us to express? We're not taught how to express ourselves. So, you know, where's your horse in this picture? All the horses I've rehabbed, every one of them has so much to say. But you got to get them to the point where they feel safe, and they know that you care, and you are listening. Even if you don't understand, you got to start there. You got to say, "Hey, I hear you. I'm listening. I may not understand, but I want to understand." And it really, it's like you know, Pandora's box, as I say. It just opens up, just shifts everything.
It does.
So, you know, Cammie, I know that's a really long-winded, that's the way I am, because it's never that simple. To me, horses are so complex because of their emotional intelligence. It's never that simple. It's no more simple than it is trying to understand people. It really isn't. The whole psychology behind horses is just bullshit out there. You know, I don't care if it's Robert Miller's book, who I read when I came back into horses, and, you know, or some other natural horsemanship type of person. I think Dr. Miller, I've got his book in my library in here, has 10, the psychology of horses. I forget how he classifies it, but like horses are only, what's the word I want to say? Like these 10 areas are the only areas that make up a horse and who a horse is. And it's bullshit. It's more than that. Because their personalities are so different. You know, anytime you have a species that has such a distinctive personality as an individual, it's going to be intelligent. Okay? Look at my cat. We talk about it all the time. And my husband does not like cats, and he loves my cat. I probably have 1,000 pictures of those two loving on each other. And my cat, and anyone that gets to know my cat, like my mom is now staying with us for about a month, and mom knows my cat, he's 13. And he grew up with my late dogs, my 2 late labs. And he grew up with them. I think they were 2 when he came into our lives. And he was definitely, I know where he came from, and he was definitely born in a doghouse, along with all the other cats that were on this property. And so he was born with dogs, and my dogs raised him. And my cat is a dog. I mean, I can tell him to come, sit, stay, no. He doesn't go fetch. But his personality, I mean, Willow is definitely smarter than most cats, because I've had a shitload of cats, you guys, from barn cats to house cats. I've had from psycho cats to sweet cats to neurotic cats to you name it. Willow is super intelligent. And the expression. I know you've slept with Willow on my couch.
I know, that was surprising.
I know, but I mean, we call him Grumpy Cat's cousin, because he's so expressive in his eyes, and he just looks at you with those owl eyes, and he studies you. And he gets pissy, like he gets jealous, his feelings get hurt. He goes and lays down in front of you with his back to you, but he's got his ear on you to see if you're listening to him when you don't give him what he wants. Now my Arabian horse is like that. Yeah, so it's so cool. But so often, again, getting back to the subject of how do you read your horse and get to know them, so often 99% of your horses are so shut down, you guys. Or even if they're spooky, overreactive horses, they are, that's not healthy. We're labeling them again. So stop labeling your lazy, dominant horse, and the exact opposite would be your overreactive, spooky horse. And so I think, hi, Lydia. Hey, girls. I got some of my girls. Willow. I have some of my girls from my Mastery membership program. I think there was another question about the introverted horse. So bear with me, guys, while I go through some of these questions. Ani. Is this applicable to the introverted horse as well? Is what applicable? All horses. I don't really know, Ani, what you mean is what. This podcast is for all horses. I'm just trying to get you guys to understand how complex horses are, not cognitively. Remember, they don't have that third layer to their brain like humans do, and that third layer of the brain is an advanced cognitive level where we create language, dreams, we analyze, we have the ability to do all of these things. Horses don't have that third layer. But their second layer and their first layer are so similar to us. Horses, their whole skeletal system, everything about the horse is so similar, except their heart is one of their largest organs, and our brain is one of our largest. But yeah, there's so many similarities. It's amazing. So this whole conversation here is for all horses, and for you guys to take a different and deeper look at your horse, because 99% of you are dealing with and looking at behaviors, and that's not the nature of who your horse is. The behavior is how your horse has learned to cope and survive from previous bad training to environments to other influences.
I believe it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you live it.
Yep. Yes.
You live it. Yeah, Sarah, whatever questions you have for our private Facebook webinar on Friday, just email me, love. I won't remember. But yeah, I'd love to talk about Smokey. And he is the most amazing horse, one of the most in the world. I've never met such intelligence, and I don't want to start crying. I still don't like to talk about him because it's just, I'm blown away. You're with a horse for all those years, every day, all the time, and he's in hundreds of my videos. He went to clinics, to expos, to present with me, even when he was scared to death. He tried his hardest. And I swear he was reincarnated. He was a person in another life. And I have been told that, actually, that we've lived many lives together in various forms. But Smokey was just, he got me. He read my mind. He knew my heart. And for all of you that have met and worked and ridden Smokey, you all understood Smokey. He was quite special. And And like people, horses have different levels of intelligence, you guys, and different levels of sensitivity. And that's going to be a another video that we're going to be diving into, a video though, and definitely podcasts we can expand. So hi Cami, you love this information. It helps me understand better why I've done things the way I have. Yes, each horse, just like people, have their own personality. Thanks again.
And Annie replied.
Annie, yes. Where's Annie?
All the way down.
All the way down?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Annie, making them
Annie.
understand.
Okay. So, hi Annie. Thank you. Not Annie.
Sorry,
Annie. I love you. I know the German, the Southern and the German. So Ani is talking to the horse, making them understand we care. Yeah, they do. Don't let anyone tell you that a horse doesn't understand you, especially when you come from your heart. And that's in my work, in what I teach, that's what I teach you guys to understand and develop in the very beginning before technique comes into the picture. Is we go through a lot of the energy work and the chakras. That's discovering the spirituality through the art of liberty training. Or it's just amazing. So yeah, horses do understand. Even the ones that are victimized and petrified and abused. It's like, I can't tell you, it's like and Smokey was one of them. It's like getting the dog from the shelter. They know, like they choose you. You know, when you're going around looking at, what dog do I want to rescue? So often they choose you. I've had that happen with cats and dogs and horses. And for the horse, not only do they know when you're coming to select a horse to rescue or even buy, I've never had a problem loading them on a trailer. They're like, I am out of here. I know I'm going somewhere better. It's just amazing. The biggest problem is when we get them home, our horses, and we start to want to work with them or train them, that we don't realize that they've got so many triggers. Mm-hmm. And we're like, what happened, man? I fell in love with you, or I saw you at the trader's, barn where you were for sale, or the rescue, or the sanctuary, and you were so sweet and open. And, or if someone's riding the horse that you're getting ready to buy, and then the horse changes so much when you get them home. So much of that has to do with them not feeling safe. They're out of their comfort, but most specifically, they've got tons of triggers. And you just don't realize that everything you're doing is setting them off. And so, yeah, that's really tough. That's so tough. So when I go to do an assessment, like I did with Sabrina's horse, and I've never met her horses before. I've heard a lot about them, but I've never met them. I don't need to know. I'll never know. What you're, so many times when we go to buy a horse or rescue a horse, you're told lies. Mm-hmm. You're told a bunch of bullshit anyway. And so often the horses are drugged when they're nuts. And so I don't need to know that. I have a specific mental agility test that I put every horse through. It's called my assessment. So before I ever work with the horse, they go through this mental agility test. And my students have that on their Mastery Membership program. And those specific exercises were created by me to help me see how they respond to me, the relationship, how easy it is for them to connect with me, how safe do they feel around people, or do they avoid you when you first meet them, or how checked out are they, detached are they, disengaged or engaged. And then, when I put pressure on them, because pressure is in everything we do, you guys, pressure is in all of our training and learning. Even for us human students, as a learner, there's pressure. Well, it's the same for your horse. And that's the number one word and problem with horse training, is our horses experience the wrong types of pressure. Mm-hmm. It becomes a negative experience when it needs to become a positive experience, because pressure is life. It's part of learning. It's part of training. Your horse needs to not be afraid of pressure. And so the minute I start asking the horse to do something, and, pressure changes, right? You can decrease it and increase it depending. As soon as I start to ask them to do something, I really get to see who they are in that moment. And most of them are, 99% of them, messed up. They either escalate and go into panic mode. Yep, there's your spooky overreactive horse that doesn't trust. Or they completely shut down and detach. And then, everyone else is going to label them as the lazy horse when they're just checked out. They're out of here. So, it's complicated. I can't tell you enough. I believe it, Caroline. Hi, Lydia. That's how I feel about Cochise. Yes. So I can't emphasize enough for all of you. And, I'm not just trying to sell you my training method or my system. Let me reword that. I'm always going to try and promote and sell you my work because I know that it works for every horse, all horses, and every type of rider. It doesn't matter what you do because I know horses and I know people. And I know the science behind us. I know what makes us tick. I know the psychology behind us, and I know what's in our hearts. And that's part of that psychology that nobody talks about with horses that pisses me off, to put it bluntly. They give you like Dr. Miller, well, here's 10 ways to diagnose your horse, the psychology behind horses, and that's it? Are you kidding me?
Happens all the time.
Well, and he's number one.
Wow.
He was number one years ago. He's like the guru that starts all this shit. And then there's Pirelli.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, you can't just go around labeling your horses introverted or extroverted, you guys. Pirelli's horsenality bullshit is bullshit. You can't do that. They created that personality chart or test or whatever you want to call it, formula, to help all of you feel more comfortable and confident about understanding your horse, reading them, diagnosing them. I've seen the chart. I had to buy it so I would know what the hell, do these guys really know what they're talking about? Most of it they don't. They try to compartmentalize it for you to make it easier for you to, as a person, to feel comfortable about understanding your horse. The biggest reason why it's such bullshit, the horsenality, is because they're not talking about differentiating learned behavior from your horse's nature. And again, 99% of our horses out there are operating from learned behavior. Nobody knows who they really are. My work helps you excavate and peel back all those layers till you get the horse feeling confident and open and trusting and safe. And then they are going to become, like we will, an open learner, a confident learner. And most of our horses are not confident learners.
Dashing.
No, but you're figuring out how to help her become.
Absolutely.
And you're so close to it. You're so good. You're so close to it. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
What did you get out of the time that we spent together with Dash when we were filming it?
Oh,
when I was doing my assessment, what are you taking away from that?
So much, but it's hard to put into words.
Well, what did you learn from her? Or what did you learn? And it could be validating what you're already doing.
And I was just going to say that it just validated so much just to have somebody say, having you say, yep, that is,
Yeah,
wrong.
not somebody.
Yeah.
You better just say having you, Caroline.
Having
I'm
you
sorry.
say, sorry. I know that's why I corrected myself.
Oh, Lordy. But yeah.
It just helps.
That you're on the right path.
Yes.
And that there was just a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of the feel and timing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Of being more particular with her. One, she's just more lazy, but she's soft too. She had such a soft eye. So she's just more lazy. So it's like, Dash, I really need you to participate a little bit more, like pick it up. Let's go. And you got to have that conversation with her. Number one, you have to have that conversation, literally have that conversation so she can really feel the truth of your intention. And then you got to see me, show her, take me seriously. I'm going to ask you, let's go. And then I take it away. And then you're like, yep, I'm good. You heard me. That's what I mean when I get big like that. Stay tuned into how big I am. And I just want your horse to learn how to participate and not fear that kind of energy and participate with that energy.
Yes.
But you also, you personally, because it's your horse, but any of you in Sabrina's situation, you, and I make this clear in the video, you have to honor who that horse is. You're never going to turn her into, and we talk a lot about bloodlines in that video and not listening to former owners tell you who this horse is, but you doing the research to figure out the specific traits and, agility of, the mother and father or the, so forth and so on.
So, I go back
and what were they known for? I mean, that's why people breed and choose bloodlines, because they're looking for specific traits and characteristics and agility and whatnot. It's pretty cool. It's pretty crazy.
Absolutely.
So give us one or two takeaways though, that are going to help you achieve what do you want to achieve with Dash now that you understand that she is more lazy, not just checked out, but that because she's a more timid horse, it's easy, because you can have a lazy dominant horse. Okay, you can have that. I have a lazy, dominant, very sensitive, very attuned and tuned in quarter horse in Sundance. And when you have all those characteristics, it makes it really difficult. Sundance is, again, like Smokey, one of the most challenging horses I've ever gotten to know and work with. So not just, hold on, I'll let you finish. Self-esteem, confidence, and courage are very similar and very different. So you can be born, and so can your horse, with a high self-esteem. I'm not going to take anything off of you. Don't you tell me. Or you can beat me down physically, emotionally, verbally, all you want, but you're not going to kill me.
Right.
And that's high self-esteem. That's not confidence, and it's not courage. Confidence is having the ability to take a chance, to do something risky, to believe in yourself. That's confidence. And courage is very close. Courage is like, man, this is really hard, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it even though I'm really scared and it's really hard. And I'm going to do it either because I believe in myself or I believe in you. And so you can have a timid horse, you can have a shy horse, but they might have strong self-esteem, and they might have courage,
Right.
and they might be confident. Do you see how complex this is, you guys?
Yes.
And we today, one of the things I talk about often in my videos too is our language and our choice of words and our interpretation of words. So often our interpretation of words, and you've really learned this being around me,
Yes.
is choose your words correctly and carefully. Because until you go to that damn dictionary, most of you don't even use the words right. And I'm defining 3 very similar characteristics: self-esteem, confidence, and courage, yet they are very different. And you can have a timid, shy horse who can have all 3, but they're just timid and shy. They just because they don't express themselves loudly or very often doesn't mean they don't have confidence.
Right.
So listen, when you have confidence and courage and self-esteem in your horse, and they are shy, like Dash, they can appear dominant. And they can appear lazy. Exactly. And they're not. It's just, they're like, really? You got to convince me.
Yeah.
What are you doing, person, that's going to convince me that I need to do this? Why should I do this for you or with you?
Right.
So guess what my magic answer is for all of that? The relationship. And it's not just loving on your horse. It's the relationship in the work. It means that you balance love and leadership in everything you do. There's a time to wax on and a time to wax off. There's a time to come on a little bit more with love or leadership and a time to back off. And it's like raising kids. It's just like getting to know people.
Yeah.
And look at all of our relationships with our friends, our partners, our spouses, our family members, our children. So horses are I've always said this, horses are so much more intelligent than dogs. And I had one really stupid dog, 2 amazing dogs, and 1 brilliant dog. God, Bear was as dumb as a rock. But his heart chakra was huge. You never got to meet my dogs.
No, I didn't.
They passed away. So I think we're getting ready to wrap up a good hour here. That was a lot of information. I do want you to end it with me not interrupting you and you telling us the 2 things, that 2 big takeaways for you from our assessment from the video that are going to help you in Dash. What were the 2 things?
The 2 things that I want to do with Dash
From our assessment. That our assessment
goal.
Made something more clear or helped you identify something.
Okay. I identified that she was really shut down. That she wasn't just lazy. There's a part of her, that's lazy.
I say the opposite.
But really, you say she's lazy.
It predominantly in the video, she's more lazy than shut down.
You did say that. But
like 75% just naturally more shy and timid.
But I remember you saying that she was shut down also.
Yep.
So that
have you tell in the eye.
Exactly. So
and the level of the horse's ability to stay connected to you or not. And like your horse has known a lot of mechanics and a lot of you are taught mechanics, especially with natural horsemanship. It's very mechanical. It is not about connection and relationship. Not when you're looking down at the ground and your horse is going around you. What are you looking at? You need to be watching your horse, not to mention when you get into the art of understanding biomechanics and the art of lunging, you've got to be studying the horse's movement to help the movement. But anyway.
But that's kind of, that I was right, that it's, more to it than just being lazy.
Yes, I got you. You are correct.
Yes.
That your validation was that it's more than just being lazy, that she's also shut down. And how can you help her when she checks out or shuts down? What did you learn?
I learned just to let her be who she is and to try to do the best with your work.
Accepting her, but also learning how to work better with her.
Yes.
So what was one of the exercises that
when you
were in the realm?
When I ask her to come to me, that she just kind of assumes things, or when I ask her to
let's slow down and choose one. So because this is where you all make some really big mistakes. You go too fast and you don't know how to slow down and pay attention to the subtleties, which are going to give you everything you need, all the information you need. So let's slow down and just talk real quick about when you ask her to come to you.
That she doesn't just assume.
Assume what?
That just to assume by walking by me. When I ask her to come to me, to stand there.
So you have to be really clear, as I always say, in particular about how that needs to look and show up for you.
Yes.
That coming to me doesn't mean you just come into my space and kind of stand next to me. It means I want you to come in and be with me.
Right.
And be connected and focused on me.
Right.
And just those cleaning, tweaking, refining, those little, they're huge though, those little nuances is how you're going to get her more connected.
Right.
More present and not checked out.
Yeah, because she walked right by you and you were like, swap.
Oh yeah, she walked right by me and I bit her ass.
Yeah.
And then I bit her ass and I went back to talking about it and she got 2 nice ears and eyes on me and came up like, what was that all about? And I'm like, yep, sister, that's exactly why I did it.
Yeah.
I wanted, because I knew she wasn't afraid of the whip.
No.
Because you've done such a great job. She's not afraid of the whip, and I knew that I knew enough from what you've told me, and I know you, and how good you are with horses.
Thank you.
And I knew that I could be that quick and bite her ass with the lunge whip, and she wouldn't be afraid, and panic. I would have never done that to a horse that had been abused by a whip,
of course.
or was afraid of the whip, or just way too hypersensitive and overreactive. That would not be the right approach. But with a more lazy, shut down, dominant horse, you've got to be quick and take it away. And that's the language of Equus.
Right.
That's just how horses.
I think the most important that I've learned that day is that I have to take her for who she is. I can't
Accept
make
her.
her. Yeah, I can't make her
That's beautifully
into
put.
something that I'm not.
That's,
that she's not.
That's what Sundance taught me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, ironically, Sundance has become like one of the most amazing versatile horses.
Right.
Between upper level dressage,
Right.
she is a jumper, not even a hunter. She's a jumper. She's beautiful. Not that I jump. She can jump. I don't jump. I do hunt, course, you know, easy peasy. But yeah, and
That was the huge part.
but it's like when we force our horses or we want to do something and we don't take the time to allow them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole nother conversation. It's just like children too, because all the things that I wanted Sundance to enjoy and be my partner in, she has become that. And even when she's not sure,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she still, because we're together and we love each other, she will still do it. I mean, it's crazy. That's a whole nother good podcast to talk about.
Yeah, it is.
Allowing and accepting.
So yeah, those are the two.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot out of it.
Yeah. And you got it on video, so you
Yes.
can go back to it and study it if you need to. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate everyone and the questions, and you all take care. May you always be one with
Bye,
your
guys.
horse. Bye-bye. And we will see you next week. This time, every week, every Wednesday. All right. Thank you. Okay.